Hey, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Hangoutlander. I'm Beth. I'm the host of Hangoutlander. It's a weekly recap show for Stars' Outlander, but right now, Stars' Outlander is not live. It's not happening right now. I mean, it's ramping up. But what we're doing in preparation for that is we are reading The Fiery Cross, which is book 5, and the book that the majority of this season is based on, and we are talking about that. So we're doing that here at the Cool Table tonight. We are talking about parts 2, 3, and 4 of The Fiery Cross, which was a lot. I'm not going to lie. It took a little bit longer than part 1 to read. It was more pages, but a little bit more happened, I think. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to kind of read through the Chieftain's Call section and what that looks like when you are in a modern era and you're reading something from so long ago, but also written not too long ago, and how awkward that is, whether or not Roger improves in this section, and where the story seems to be going as we read through these parts of the section. So I want to say hello to my friends that are on, and I want you to know who they are if you do not know. But if you're real quick before I introduce them, if you're watching us live, you can talk to us in the chat on YouTube. Hi. And or you can talk to us on Twitter using the hashtag Hangoutlander. Our friend Courtney is manning live Twitter, so you might be talking directly to Courtney. You might be talking to one of us, but we will see what you're saying. So Courtney's going to let us know if there's something important on Twitter that we want to answer. So this is your conversation as much as it's ours. So interact with us as much as possible if you can. That's why it's live. It's why it's fun. Yay! Okay, so say hello, ladies. Amy, say hi.
Hello, I'm here. My Clemson Tigers did not win last night, but today I have drinking 2 Coca-Colas. I've had nachos and some Kraft mac and cheese dinner. So if you're asking how my night went, yeah.
Good. It went good.
Well, when your friend shows up and it's her birthday and it's midnight and your team is losing, why not start drinking champagne then, right? Good choices.
It's a great choice.
Yes.
Great. Andy is with us for the first time in this year, I guess, but not the first time on Hangoutlander. Say hi.
No, hi. I have a nice large glass of red wine. I finished teaching and now I finished school, and so I earned this.
You did.
Reward.
Hi, Nadine. She's in the YouTube chat. I don't know who else is on Twitter, but I love having people in the chat and I could just see it and talk to you. It's my favorite thing. But we want to hop right into this section. Do either one of you have a favorite moment from any of these 3 parts that like sticks out to you, that sticks out the first time you read it or this time that you read it or whatever?
I had 2.
Okay.
One was Jamie gives Claire Adso. Come on.
Oh,
yeah, that's so good. And Roger Mack in a kilt singing for the first time. And I know I might be skipping ahead, but like I can't wait to hear him singing, you guys. If they don't put that in, I'm gonna go rage. I will be a full rage monster. Show me him in a kilt singing some songs.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Hey, Patricia. Hey, Purely Muse. I'm glad y'all are in the chat too. Amy, what was your favorite part from this section?
I'm here for baby goats. Maybe because I had the experience of holding and playing with baby goats this past summer. I like this part of the book because this is kind of what I like in to me, A Breath of Snow and Ashes, Echo in the Bone, Fiery Cross, they all kind of jumble together in my mind. I can never remember what happened when. Please note, this is the 3rd time that I've read these. But this is a lot of Fraser's on the Ridge, which is kind of the show that is my dream show of just new adventures every week of Claire working in her little room. What does she call it? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking.
Surgery.
Her surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And, just fixing shit and making potions and
yeah,
I love that stuff.
Tinctures, making tinctures. Yeah. My favorite part, I think, is when I've talked about the Fiery Cross in previous Hangoutlanders, I do not remember things very well. And so I've remembered the clouts and I remembered like some of the ridge shit, but like I don't really like have a whole lot of like distinct memories. I know how it ends and that's kind of it. But one thing that I noticed as I was reading this section is I really remember the section with the Beardsley baby, her picking it up and it like nursing on her and then taking it in. And then the entire conversation between Jamie and Claire about whether or not they're going to keep it. And coupled that with the birth control conversation that they have later and the sperm conversation at the end, like I really do remember the baby conversation. And at the time, the first time I read it, I had babies. I had a toddler and like a 4-year-old. And so it didn't strike me the same way. Like the baby stuff struck me, and that still does. Like anytime there's so much nursing in this whole section, but anytime there's a lot of that, like it strikes you as a mother, like you can feel let down and you like understand, like you can just kind of, all of the like sweaty pitness of like being a nursing mom and all that kind of stuff. And it's always there with you. And so when she's cradling that baby against her chest, that newborn, it's like, I feel a lot with regard to that. But I never really understood when she says that she feels like it's finished, like she's done, her mission's accomplished, like she's satisfied the honor of being a parent and she doesn't need to do it anymore. The first time I read that, I remember being like, that doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't she want to raise this baby with Jamie? That would be so fun. Like raise another baby with Jamie. Like he's an awesome dad and y'all haven't had a chance to do that. It didn't make any sense to me. And now that my kids are 15 and 13, I'm not done, but I get more the idea that she feels finished and doesn't want to start over and it isn't like where her life is going or whatever. So like I appreciated that part a lot.
Well, it's exhausting.
Right.
It took me maybe 2 weeks of Ruby being born to realize like I'm one and done. I love sleeping and babies are hard.
They are hard.
But to be fair, you don't have all the help that Claire seems to have. Claire has like a bazillion people, like Mrs. Chisholm is all like, and then Mrs. Bug. I mean, she's got like a billion people there helping. Come on, Claire, step up. Step up. I was disappointed that she didn't take that baby. I'm just saying.
I mean, yeah, I'm disappointed that they didn't take it too because I want to see Jamie. I mean, every time he holds an infant,
when the baby shits on him, I love that. Like, I love to see that on screen.
I can't handle it. But at the same time, I get the fact that being completely responsible for a whole nother person is this, I don't know, like I get feeling the need to feel like you're done and how important that is for her. Like I get it. Like it makes sense to me. I mean, because we've discussed over the past like 10 years having more children at different times, and every time we've been like, oh, we're so past that need, I guess. So yeah, I get it.
How old I can't remember how old she is in this book.
47, 48.
Oh, she's my age.
Yeah, I think she's 47-ish. Because I think at some point she says that he's 45.
Okay.
So isn't she 2 to 3 years older than him?
Yeah.
Something like that,
yeah. So let's get into it. That felt like we were actually getting into it, but we weren't kind of really. So does this section feel like it moves the story forward? And when I say this section, I'm not talking about one section. I'm talking about 3 sections of the book where they, part 2 is called The Chieftain's Call, and they're coming back from the gathering, which feels like it was forever ago that I read it. There's lots of Roger and Bree stuff going on. Jamie does the praying to Dougal in the thing, and then they call the fiery cross out to everybody. The women are fighting at the ridge, and then they go on the journey where they go to call up the militia. They have the issues with the Beardsleys, the issues with the Browns. They come back because the militia decides not to be called, which feels like the lamest plot device ever, where they like had to go on this journey to do something and then they didn't. And then they come home and have Christmas and Hogmanay and sex. So that's the sections. And does it really feel purposeful?
There's a lot of piddling in the book. I mean, this time, especially, I skimmed a lot because, when you've read it. Again, I'm bragging 3 times. I'm re-kilting all the time. There was just a lot of skimming and like thoughts and feelings and a lot of people in their own head, and which, I like being in that world, but in terms of plot moving forward. Not a lot happens.
You meet the Browns.
Yeah.
And the Beardsleys.
And I like them, the Beardsleys.
But does it take, 400 pages to meet the Browns and the Beardsley?
No,
like, there's
it
a
does
whole
not.
section at the Beardsley farm.
Yeah.
That I like it because it's gross.
It's very gross.
It's definitely something that is stuck in my memory. I think about it more than probably once a month for some reason. I'll smell something and I'll just think, oh, that's the Beardsley loft right there.
I don't want to be smelling
what you're in the world that you're smelling the Beardsley loft.
Gross.
We compost.
Okay, that's it. It's the only option.
Well, that's on you.
But yeah, I mean, but I think I just have to get over it and stop expecting that these books are going to be, everything is in the book for a reason to move the plot forward. That's not what these books are. They'll never be that. So just kind of enjoy the.
Yeah. So when you start out in the Chieftain's Call, in that section, the first section, you're in Jamie's head for a while. And it feels like that. It's a lot of meandering. He finds the cat or whatever. He's like upset with his horse. But like, I find being in Jamie's head very peaceful and very thoughtful and nostalgic. He's thinking of his mother and he's like stopping and taking deep breaths. And there's like this cosmic holiness and sacredness to the land. And I mean, it's not moving any plot forward, but I love every bit of it. I really love every bit of it. There's nothing in it that I would want an editor to cut out. As much as there's times where we're like, Diana needs an editor. That is not something I want to see taken away. I want to be in Jamie's head as much as possible, especially when he's like communing with nature and remembering his mom and finding adorable cats. Like I'm super into it.
Well, he has no artifice to him at all. And he never thinks a bad thought about anybody. He's so pure that it feels almost unhuman.
Yeah.
Even like when he makes a sarcastic comment, it's never really sarcastic. He's just kind of usually answering your dumb question and he's just giving you an honest answer.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It's never, he's not ever bitchy.
Yeah.
And there's no like sense of my hair is terrible. There's no sense of him being like, in it to win it. He's not in it for himself. He's just, yes, he is pure. His heart is very pure. I love being in his head. I love it.
Yeah, those sections are really good. She does take more opportunities to take a dump on Roger, though.
Absolutely.
Because as if the poor guy is not like, you're already like, oh, do I like this guy? But then, I mean, I guess they're setting up like an internal conflict of him and his usefulness like to come, but like to just make him unable to like shoot, you're like, God, what more? What more can you do to this poor guy? I don't get it. Why she takes crap on him all the time.
And do doctors know that much about ophthalmology back in the day?
I was very floored when we get to the Rogers when he can't shoot and she's looking in his eyes. I'm like, I have been to many a doctor in my day and no OBGYN or surgeon or foot doctor of any sort would ever be like, let me take a look at those eyes. They don't know. They do not know. Yeah. And I guess maybe there's some sort of, maybe she did like this overarching study, like she studied as much as she could so that she could just be so super well-rounded, but she would have had no reason to do that. So it's a lot. It's a lot. No way. But it is interesting. I've never heard, honestly, did not know that binocular vision was something that a person could or couldn't have. The fact that you can't see in 3D, I've never heard that.
I've never heard it either, but I'm not a doctor, so.
Neither is Claire.
I just play one on this podcast.
Yes.
But also, like, surely, I don't know. I mean, God, I'm not going to question. I'm sure that that's right, and people can't aim and shoot things if they don't have binocular vision. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just am sort of like, sure, Diana, I'll take your word for it.
It doesn't bother me so much that it's like a dark mark on Roger's character, because out of all the things that Roger does that I dislike, this is not. I mean, I don't mind him having obstacles that he has to overcome. But like Jamie's obstacles are cute.
He already has so many.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like already we're replaying the fish out of water. And it's not like they've made Brie a fish out of water at all, because apparently we find out in this that Frank trained her, you know, to hunt and shoot and things like that. Whatever. So she seems to be doing just fine.
She's already looking to lay metal pipe.
Right.
Yeah.
Like clay pipes. She's like,
she's definitely laying pipe in this section.
But yes. So I just feel like this is just one more, I don't know. You already have him as a fish out of water whose family dislikes him, or her family already really doesn't love him. Maybe Claire does. You know, just one more thing. Just here you go. I don't know. It annoyed me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you really love Roger, it's obnoxious that his limitations are not adorable the way like Jamie's limitations are. Jamie can't sing.
He can't wink.
He can't wink.
That's cute.
You know, he has scars. It's just like, it's not hard to just overlook them or find them adorable.
None of those are life-threatening in 17 whatever.
Faith on the text asks, or the chat says, isn't that what a general practitioner is? A broad study of the entire anatomy. I totally get that. I actually have an appointment with my GP next week. I'm going to ask him about binocular vision.
Do it.
Yeah.
Report.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's a possibility. It's a possibility. It just seems like a lot. It seems like she knows a whole lot. But I think that there are, what are Roger's limitations? Let's say, okay, he's vaccinated, so he's not going to die of anything.
Well, those are his pros, not his limitations.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So like that,
he doesn't have that. Because he said that playing tennis is a game for poofters, and I'm like, go fuck yourself.
He said poofters.
He said that in this chapter?
Yes.
He did, yeah. So he doesn't have binocular vision. He's not a warrior. He doesn't know anything about hunting. I guess he doesn't know anything about skinning or trapping.
He doesn't know who the father is of his baby.
But he has extensive knowledge of, well, he should. I guess he doesn't have extensive knowledge of what's to come because he's not American.
Right.
But he does have a conversation with Jamie about like everything they were like, I don't know, sharing, like he was like, oh, I think I scared him. And then Claire was like, you can't scare Jamie with war stories. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dawn just said in the chat that Roger is the anti-Jamie. But the thing is we're so in love with Jamie. Why would she introduce a hero, a romantic hero who is just so wildly different than Jamie to the point where we can't fall in love with them? So like, okay, when you're in Roger's head, it's not fun. It's the opposite of being in Jamie's head. It's not just that he has limitations physically. So like the Roger and Bree chapter in part 2, they're off to go shooting and he's like looking at her and thinking about her. He's sufficiently attracted to her is basically the only pro that you can say with regard to his romantic attachment. He likes her butt, right? He wants her and he's constantly thinking about having sex with her. But it's almost creepy because he's not sure she wants it. And if you take like last sections, Roger, when, you know, he can't get the job done. So it would make sense that she doesn't really want him. And so that's why he probably has a lot of insecurity about whether or not they're going to be having sex. So it's just, he gets horny, fine. All right. But every little thing that they say to one another is dissected close to causing an argument. So everything she says, he's thinking about and he's trying to like figure out. And then they're constantly like worried that they're about to piss each other off, or he's constantly, it feels like such an unhealthy balance. I would hate to be in their relationship.
He brings her birth control though. Good man.
Yes, that's true love.
True love.
And when he does come home, he's like, and she's all mad. and she's like, I cleaned the house, I fed your
Yeah.
babies, I dealt with all these bitches. And he's like, well, I just wanted to make love to you. And didn't you want to make love to me? And she was like, well, that's beside the point.
Well, of course she's bitchy. She probably didn't come. Like, that's like, of course she's still kind of mad at him. Like,
can I read this from Twitter?
yes.
Meredith said, I dated a guy with binocular vision. He could only see his half of the bill.
Good.
That was excellent.
But
maybe that's his problem. Maybe that's Roger's problem in bed. Maybe he can't find what he needs to find.
The button.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where I feel like
burn.
the show is fail, because I do like Book Roger, again, because in my mind, I picture him as super hot and pirate-like, and they're not helping on the show to make him a romantic character, because the guy, I forget his name, playing Roger, just the styling of him is off. I'm not even gonna, it's not necessarily him. He's just styled to look like just dumpy and not
he looks dumpy.
sexy.
Yeah.
We're going to get to see him in a kilt. I'm holding out hope. Show me Roger in a kilt. Please make him be hot. Show. Please, I'm begging you.
The one time I thought that he was hot was when he was in a kilt before with the turtleneck.
He did look
I think
good.
he looked good there. But that's the only time on the show that I've been like, cute dude. Even in the 60s,
too
he didn't
many
look
knit
good.
layers. They just need to.
Too many layers on him.
I need to
He's
see more
hot
of
in
like
real
a
life.
dirty. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's so
yeah,
hot.
yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't understand. But there is just a cloud over their relationship. It feels unhealthy. It feels like she can have fun with him because she kind of has to. He's her boyfriend, he's her husband. Like, it's that kind of thing where you're just like, this is the person I'm dating, so I'm still gonna like have sex with them. We're still gonna go out and have fun, but like, oh God, he sucks. That's what it feels like she's doing the whole time. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's this huge disconnect between what they say and do with one another and what they're really feeling. And I don't know if it's the contrast between the way Jamie and Claire are so connected and then they aren't, that's what makes it so obvious. But I mean, I wouldn't read a romance novel that starred Roger and Bree.
Well, that's because they didn't earn it. They'd never earned it back in the second book and the third book. I never really cared about them as a couple. It was almost like their pairing was just going to be inevitable. And I never really saw Bree truly fall in love with him.
Yeah. But I mean, I would believe that they're in love now. If I'm just looking at this book, I would believe that they're in love now. If I felt like when we're in their heads and when we're in their relationship, it wasn't always on the cusp of just devolving into how all the different ways they don't understand each other. And I think that neither one of them want to fight with the other, but they so desperately like don't get one another that they don't have an option. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. And Patricia just said Bree is the actual worst, and I agree with that. I'm not a Bree fan, so I'm just like,
I'm glad you're Superwoman. Congrats, you killed a turkey. Bye.
I disagree. I did not know that I wasn't irritated by Bree, but I'm not. I don't have a problem with Bree at all. I don't.
Never like her.
I never liked her.
I can't even really put my finger on it. And maybe because I don't feel like we get enough in her head to where I ever feel like she's vulnerable or kind of, I just feel like she's dull.
There's a little bit of dullness, but her life is dull.
I appreciate her like trying to make Roger feel better. I mean, Roger feels a lot of guilt about Ian being gone. And I love Book Ian. So like, I appreciate the fact that she was like, no, like he would have wanted this. Like I spent a lot of time with him. So, I appreciate that she cares about Roger enough that she would, bother to say no, like, look, he's probably happier now. And she thinks about him a lot and thinks about what he's doing and would he be happy and things like that. So to me, those are her most redeeming features. The fact that she, I guess, does think about other people's feelings. Right?
Yeah.
I think this is also the limiting of her character because she's, Diana chose to make her, as many of the other people in the book, a victim of sexual violence. And I don't feel like Diana really writes the healing process of that very well for any of her characters. It's always weird the level that she goes to in folks' healing process, whether it's the weird opium thing from the first book. I feel like I don't feel like she's earned. I'm not saying it wouldn't happen, but the whole Stephen Bonnet thing, the forgiveness that she feels for him with the going to him and saying, "This is your baby." I just feel like that was just weird and off. Or then eventually when Claire is raped, how she solves it
Spoiler.
by having,
No, just kidding.
You're
ruining it.
By having Jamie, fuck her, so just in case she is pregnant, so she can go through the same thing that basically Bree's going through right now. I just feel like maybe
horrible.
I would like Bree a little bit more, because I just feel like what we've gotten from her as the victim of sexual violence has not been very convincing to me. And I'm not saying that there's a right way or wrong way. I'm just saying that I don't think it's written very well. And I just don't. I don't know.
Well, I think that in the show, even though we're not discussing the show, they are taking that to a different place. Like, there's an article out today where they're talking about season 5. And I mean, I think one of the very first things that happens is that she has flashbacks to Bonnet. It has kind of like PTSD flashbacks and things like that, and can't really, I don't know if she can't be intimate with Roger, or if there's, it's going to be an issue. And I mean, obviously they've done that type of flashback with all the other rape victims on the show. So it's not really a new territory for them. But I mean, I don't think that I do think that it's almost absent from this section. She reads the letter from Lord John to Jamie about Stephen Bonnet. And I think that in that section, you can feel her freeze up and you can feel her be terrified for what that means. But I honestly think that terror is for Jamie. Knowing that he's going to go after Bonnet and knowing that he's still out there and still, that he didn't die and that her dad's going to go after him. It doesn't feel as if the terror in that situation is for herself, especially because it doesn't come back up. At least in these 3 parts, it hasn't come back up. Brett in the chat said that she's an overachiever. And my friend Brittany said that Bree isn't sympathetic, that Diana tries to give her Jamie's aggression and it doesn't work well in a woman. I don't disagree that there are aspects that Diana does definitely try to give Bree that are Jamie's, and they don't work quite the same way. But I think she has enough of Claire in her and enough of her own personality. I think she's a well-adjusted character. I feel like she's well-rounded. I have not been in her head. I haven't seen her do anything in these sections that truly annoys me. I understood perfectly why she's mad at Roger when he gets out.
Yeah, for sure.
The outburst made sense to me. Letting it go the way she lets it go makes sense to me. Killing the geese and then thinking about the lifelong mates, like taking the turkey, taking the musket from him and just like getting the turkey when he couldn't do it. Like, even just like the gentle way she's trying to teach him how to shoot. I mean, there's not a whole lot that she's doing that I find issue with. She's trying really hard to make their relationship work in ways that Roger is not. He's not doing that.
Well, from Claire's perspective, you get so much in her head of the wanting of Jamie, and we don't really get a lot of that from Bree or from Roger. Just like flashes of horny every now and again.
Oh, we get plenty of flashes of horny from Roger. He thinks about it every time we're in his POV. He is horny.
He's looking at someone's ass or leaky tits.
It's gross. It's not a good horny. It's a gross horny.
I think Amy needs to talk about the amount of breast milk. And that is not my kink, guys, because I can't with the breast milk.
There's so much relieve me. And there's so much of relieve. Every female character that's pregnant or has a baby in this book gets relieved by their man.
I'm out.
There's one point where she says something about it being like the hiss of it, like hitting his chest while they're having sex. I was like, that's accurate.
Oh, I see now. Maybe this because I'm not a mom. Like, I'm not a mom, so
you know
I don't know. Go ahead.
It depends on your flow. I breastfed for 18 months and I never squirted nobody.
I breastfed for a very long time with both of my daughters, and I was a fountain. But there's just I mean, there's times when it's definitely not a sexy feeling, but like it is a good thing. I remember I have a friend who's a romance writer, and she texted me once and she was like, is this gross? Like, how do we feel about like breast milk, like being involved in a sex scene? And I was like, yes, absolutely. 9 out of 10. And she was like, oh, okay. I'm glad you feel that way. Cause I'm putting it in. I was like, yes, I'm into it.
I liked it in the first book when it was Frank helping Claire out on the floor. I thought that was kind of super hot.
One time it's hot. 4 times or it's not hot anymore.
Yeah.
It's just a lot because Claire's got this ghost nursing thing going on. And when she starts thinking about the baby, she starts just like fondling herself, and Jamie's like noticing it. And then there's that. Plus they're like goat's milk fake teating it with the baby. And there's that. And then Bree's just piddling all over his chest and stuff. And it is a lot. And she just mentions it a lot, but she also mentions elderflower a lot. And I mean, there's just a lot of scents and substances and things going on. And you can't get away from, that's one you really can't get away from if you're a nursing mother. You're going to smell it and feel it. And I get it. It doesn't bother me. Onions bother me. I mean, how many Claire's braiding onions, somebody's cooking onions, they're going to go pick some onions, somebody just ate onions. At one point, I think I wrote it down. They're eating, when Roger and Bree are having their picnic, they eat pungent cheese, onion, and piccalilli, whatever that is. I'm assuming it's some sort of pickled,
like
something pickled. And then they just, kiss for a while. That's disgusting.
Sign me up.
That is disgusting and completely unnecessary. So gross. Oh my goodness. Disgusting. I don't want any more onions ever.
But this is when so speaking of scents, I took a picture of this because I was like, this is too good not to read. When they first go into the Beardsleys, and she was like, I was used to the odors of a winter-sealed cabin with the sense of sweat, dirty clothes, wet feet, greasy hair, and slop jars, mingled with baking bread, stewing meat, and the subtler notes of fungus and mold. But I was just like, what a miasma of, whoa.
How do you even recognize all of that?
Yes.
I mean, if I walk in and like we forgot to take the trash out and like there was like, chicken grease in it or something. Not that we would have chicken grease, but like chickens even make grease. Anyway, like say there was like food from last night in the trash we forgot to take out. I'm like, who needs to take the trash out? But I can't like distinguish the scents and know what's going on. That's crazy to me.
Gangrenous feet and toes and.
Yes. Let's talk about the Beardsleys for a minute. That is it's a big section, and it does move some things forward because we get the baby and we get this like widow running around in the woods. We don't know if she's going to like pop back in. And we get the twins out of it. But that section has a very beautiful ending to it. And I really love talking about it because once Jamie shoots and kills Mr. Beardsley, there's this, these moments where Claire is seeing him like cry as he is digging his grave, and it doesn't make any sense to her. And we realize as Jamie begins to talk to her that it's because of the way that his father died, and he's unsure if he suffered that way. And I love it.
And she's like, Jenny would have told you. And he's like, I don't know, to protect. Yeah, it was sweet.
It is terrible.
Yeah.
Like I hate that he's thinking of his dad in this horrific scene that they're in. But at the same time, there's always something else going on with Jamie. That's one of the why he's better than Roger. But like, there's always like a deeper note of melancholy or like just a deeper well of seriousness and character and all that other stuff going on underneath that creates like kind of just a well of love for him. and wanting to protect him and bundle him up and give him hugs.
Yeah. The one thing that surprised me or bugs me about the whole Beardsley and the twins is that even after Claire started to make chatty chat nice with Fanny, never once did they ask her, why the hell did you treat these children like, starve them like garbage?
Yeah, they never bring up the twins at all. I guess because they don't
really-
want her to know that they know.
Maybe, but it just didn't. I'm always just. That's why I want to kind of just strangle her.
I do kind of like her though. Is it? I don't like the way she treated the Beardsley twins. Obviously, that's no good. But like the fact that she was like a battered woman, she gets back at him. It kind of is awesome.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful.
I don't think that she necessarily treated the Beardsley twins poorly. I don't think she really had any choice in how they were treated. And it doesn't seem like she's been there as long as they've been there.
Yeah. I mean, you could infer that. It just kind of bugged me that the question was never even raised because it's just always kind of stuck in my craw. Like at least ask about the Beardsley twins.
Yeah. I think that Jamie and Claire in kind of the chaos of that situation are taking care of this thing. And then they don't really want to draw attention to the fact that they knew the boys that had left.
Yeah, I mean more of when they've gone and they're chilling out in the woods.
Yeah,
and it's just her and Fanny talking.
Yeah, where's are you worried about the kid that ran away or anything? Yeah, she doesn't say anything to her. It is kind of weird.
That's probably dumb for me to be sticking on, but
no, it's
ice
not.
Cold. I mean, even if I was a battered woman, I don't know, but that is ice cold. I mean, she's literally taking pleasure in watching him rot. Gross.
Well, it's some Rochester nonsense. I mean, she's got some. She's got some woman in the attic tendencies right there, man. She
does.
She's Bertha Mason a little bit beyond.
Bertha Mason in there.
And it turns out he didn't have his apoplexy up in the loft, right? She drug him up there.
He chased her up there.
But then I feel like when she's talking to him, I feel like when she's telling the story later that he kind of had it when he opened up the door and saw the wife.
I think that she says I think she says he actually freaks out and starts following her up the ladder and then actually is dangling from the loft. She couldn't get him down, so she had to pull him up. He has it.
He fell through. Is that why the leg is gangrenous? Because he fell through the ladder and was hanging backwards?
No, I think the leg is gangrenous because she was burning his feet. I think she was burning his feet with a candle.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And cutting him. And
do you want to see that? Do you think they'll put it in?
I think so. I think we've actually seen in the trailer the moment where Jamie shoots him. There's a moment where he's got a pistol downward and it looks like it's inside of a house. And I think that's the moment where he shoots Beardsley.
Yeah.
Because he looks very conflicted and all of that. The entire scene to me is draped. She says at one point fecal stench and all these horrible words that she uses. And that whole scene in their home just feels like a hoarder's nightmare, plus gangrene, plus when she bends over, she's just in his piss and shit. And the whole thing just, I cannot deal with how badly it attacked my senses to read that entire, just disgusting.
Well, and how gross she must be too. How dirty how she could not care.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, but no, she's clean. That's what she thought. Claire thought it was weird because she looked perfectly pressed and tidy. So I love it.
And her room is clean. That room is
she's been taking care of herself, getting all coiffed up. Look at me.
What do we think about the baby that she does end up having? I mean, one of my least favorite sections in this section is
Please don't say Mongol spot on the show. Please don't say Mongol spot on the show.
You just said it. But yeah, that's it. I mean, when Claire's she's got a Mongol spot. Maybe the baby has a bruise, Claire. I mean, it's dark and you're in the woods and it's a newborn that was left on the floor of the forest.
Right.
Maybe it's got a bruise.
No, Claire knows. Claire knows.
Literally a pool of melanin under its skin looks just like a bruise, and maybe you don't know. But okay, if we give her the benefit of the doubt that it's definitely what she says it is, it's called a Mongolian spot, I'm pretty sure. It wouldn't have been called that in the 1700s. And she then says that Black children don't look Black when they're born, which is inaccurate.
Right.
Wait, I have to tell you a story about this because it reminds me of this. So, like, years ago, Iman was on the Rosie O'Donnell show. I don't know. And you know, Iman was married to David
Bowie. Yeah.
Bowie. Iman said, you know, I had this baby and everybody kept saying to me, oh, your baby's so white. Your baby's so white. She goes, what were they going to say? Oh, your baby's so Black. Like, but apparently, and obviously Iman is Black, David Bowie is white. And my favorite Broadway gal, Audra McDonald, is Black, and her children, both of them, their fathers are Caucasian. And so when she had her baby, she also said, like, the woman like had a baby and like walked into her hospital room, and the woman was like, because the baby apparently looked really white. And so she walked into Audra McDonald is Black, and Audra McDonald was like, oh, my husband's Caucasian. Like, that's definitely my baby. But I mean, who knew? Maybe Diana saw that interview with Iman and
it is the case that your pigment changes and it deepens, but there are plenty of African American or other African descendant children, and they're born with dark skin. I mean, it's just not accurate. It's a weird thing for Claire to say. It's a weird thing for us to be talking about. I feel
like it's part of the Diana sometimes is kind of like creepy weird about stuff like that. Like you get a little sense of who she is as her own personal feelings about things. Sometimes I feel that way when the conversation goes to things like abortion or certain things of race, and the ease in which she just throws out things that just don't feel necessarily like Claire is thinking them, but you feel like Diana thinks it. And that's why I'm always like, you know, like how she always describes, especially in the Voyager books, how she would describe Black people by, you know, with food or drink, you know, the color of their skin and the mocha chocolate latte or whatever she would do.
So
it bugs me.
Our friend Lachey said actually that our kids are born fair skinned and get their color later, about 2 weeks later, is I think what she said. And it is Mongolian spots, and they do frequently occur. Yes, like I have a biracial niece and nephew, and both of them had Mongolian spots, and one of them was, I don't want to talk about it anymore, but like, yes, I know that Black children are often born and their skin is lighter and it gets darker. It just seemed like Claire was saying it's always that way, and that this child was definitely fathered.
It was like a lazy way to kind of get to the point of her being with the runaway slave later.
Like we don't know where that Claire has no reason to think that anybody has ever visited this homestead.
Right.
And
That's true.
And it's just it feels it just feels cringy and weird, and I am actually interested in the idea, and again, I haven't read Past the Fiery Cross, so I'm actually really interested in the idea that this Beardsley baby is an heiress, is going to have some power in the world that they live in, and will potentially be like visibly biracial.
Yeah.
That's a great storyline, and it's a good beginning of a character that I would be interested in. And even the fact that they have to kind of like worry about whether or not they're going to take her, like I'm interested in that. Just don't love the way Claire is so specific and blunt and whatever about how she knows that. And I guess I shouldn't be. That's the way Claire is. That's the way her character is. And I shouldn't care, but it is
cracking me up though, with your saying, you're right. Like it's dark.
Well, that's
things are
true.
crazy.
She knew like right away, and you're like,
yeah. It reminds me of that scene in The Life of Brian, and it's the fictionalized. It's like Brian and Jesus is doing his sermon. The one with the 5,000 fishes, I think, and there's no sound system back then, and there's 5,000 people listening, and the people in the back are like, "What did he say? I can't hear anything." But the Bible, makes it sound like everyone there is just like embracing every single word, and it's just like sometimes when you actually put something like, "No, you wrote that. That doesn't make any sense."
No. I don't think that you'll be able to see that clearly, Claire, even if you have binocular vision. So let's do a little quick fire. Why, Diana? Why? So the things that Diana describes that either need no description or need not be in the book at all, or just some of the horrible things that she, like words that she actually says. I noticed at the very beginning, we started this chapter with chapter 18, and page 2 on chapter 18, chinkapin doesn't chinkapin. I don't even know what it is, but doesn't show up on my autocorrect, but it's on page 2 of chapter 18. And I don't even know what it is. It's some sort of plant. They pick their way along the ridge, searching for a safe way through the tangles of chinkapin, poplar, and spruce. She couldn't just say, willow or something that people
She did research, Beth. She did research.
Oh, gosh. It's just such a dumb thing for Claire to know. I realize that she conveniently studied botany back in the 40s. I don't care. That is a dumb thing that I don't know about, and I don't like seeing the word. Don't like seeing it.
Oh.
It's just enough. But I do think one thing that I appreciate about Diana explaining, we talk about this when we talk about the ridge shit a lot. All the little like balms and stuff that she's making on like page 181. She's talking about some kind of balm that she made. And here's what it is. It's her skin balm, and she's going to like rub it into Jamie's hands, which I love. I love doing that to Ryan. He has like really big, really rough, very coarse hands. And like anytime he lets me just like rub lotion into them, which is not very often because he doesn't like the way it feels, but like anytime he lets me do it, it is very soothing. Anyway, it's made of walnut oil, beeswax, purified lanolin from boiled sheep's wool, and it was pleasantly soothing, green scented with the essences of chamomile, comfrey, yarrow, and elderflowers. And I just was thinking, how is there not a lifestyle blog already about Claire's tinctures and the things that she makes where there, we know that there's like Outlander Kitchen or whatever, but why is there not like somebody out there making all of the things that Claire makes? And
that's perfect because on Monday, I've already started writing it. My post for the Cool Table is Claire Fraser is the original goop.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I want the blog now though.
Wasn't there someone that was doing that Outlander herbalist stuff? But every time she was like putting together these like classes, but then the classes didn't happen, and then people couldn't get refunds, and it was like,
ooh, scammer.
A grifter in the Outlander world? I don't believe it. Did she also have alpacas?
So I'm pretty sure that she was not. I'm not sure. I don't think she intentionally went about and tried to scam people, but I think it turned out like she couldn't deliver what she promised. I think it got really awkward.
Well, people, when you're doing stuff in this fandom, and not so much for us anymore, but it used to be that people are very demanding. When you do something that people like, or they think they can get something out of it, they will demand that you do it more and more and more, to the point where you're just like, no, I'm not doing that anymore.
I can't do it. Yeah.
So I have no doubt that if she was doing something actually cool, and she went to like one con or like one meetup somewhere and did like a little, let's make these tinctures that Claire makes or whatever. And then everybody was calling her and wanting her at every Highland Games, and they wanted her to come to this con, and they wanted her to do this. She probably was like, I have a real life and a job, and I can't do this.
She also couldn't find bear grease.
Right.
I think it was more that she took money and then didn't return it.
Oh, well, that is grifting. And that is also not uncommon in the Outlander fandom. So don't give money to people in the fandoms, you guys. Like, that's not a good idea. Brett just said she can get behind the hand goop rub, and I agree. Who just said we have not talked about the cross? We have not.
No.
The title of this book is The Fiery Cross. And the title of one of these chapters is also Fiery Cross. And it is problematic. But again, they make it problematic in the book. Like Claire and Bree are like, what is Jamie doing? And they don't get it. And they recognize the significance of it for their time. And they are sufficiently creeped out by it. And I appreciated that. I didn't remember that from my first read. I remember myself being creeped out by it. But they question it enough to like need answers.
I do like that Roger is like, what if the person who brought the burning cross to the KKK is your dad?
Yeah. And she's like, well, I guess our great grandson's going to be the first grand dragon. And you're just like, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I like that Claire and Bree address it. I like that it is a true part of Southern history. My concern is that the book, and Andy brought this up when we were talking earlier before we started recording, that they've already changed the cross, so we really can't trust the show to actually handle it in a way. Like, this is what bugs me about the South many times, is that there's never really been a reckoning for the bullshit of slavery, the Civil War, and everything that's come past that, Jim Crow. It's kind of just like now, just can't we all get along? And we have Reese Witherspoon and a subscription to Southern Living, and everything's all cool. And I feel like there's a great and mature way that you can talk about this and have your favorite character, be burning a cross and being, learning something today.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's what's terrifying about it, is it's not that it is what they did. It is something that they did. And this is where the Klan got it. Right. And so it does have that connotation. The two things that bug me about it with regard to what's going to happen on the television show is the actual image of the burning cross. And Nadine just said no burning crosses on TV plus. And I agree. Like, I don't want to see that. So in that way, I'm glad that the production decided to do a slightly different cross.
Yeah.
But the fact that they have what seems like decided not to address the history of it, which is what you're talking about, Amy, like that you have to reckon with what it means and where it comes from. And it doesn't seem like, in terms of interviews and things that we've seen so far, that anybody's reckoning with it. I mean, they're doing season 5 press right now, and nobody's discussed the fact that it's based on a book called The Fiery Cross at all.
That's my big problem. Like, I don't want to see a burning cross on TV, but the fact of the matter is, it's like, they're doing it because they put up that the season 5 key art is that cross with the circle, so it's not like they're skipping it. So for me, if you're not going to skip it, you better come at it head on. You better talk about it. You better talk about it now, and I just feel like, I mean, look, I don't want to speak for people of color because I am the whitest of all white girls. I don't know.
Lachey just said that question never comes up, and she's right. No one is asking them, you're adapting a book called The Fiery Cross, and the Klan burns crosses because of Scottish clans but the truth is they already tried talking about it in one of their early interviews, and they literally talk about how they thought the cross that they chose looked cool. They wanted to not have a religious cross, so they picked one that was Celtic and looked cool. Well, number one, all crosses are religious. That's what they are. And unless it's, Greco-Roman, Near Eastern age, ancient times, and they're actually using them to kill people. But after that, they're religious symbols. And so you have to reckon that they're religious. You don't talk about Jamie's Catholicism enough anyway, but they are religious and they are historical and they have a place in history. And that place in history is talked about in the book that you're adapting. And I don't understand how they are not proactive in discussing the bigger connotations. And it's dumb because They did in the first season because everything that was connotated in that season was something that they could glance over as just being history and not being part of like a current political
history.
climate. Yeah. I just felt like they were just. I hate that they're not thoughtful anymore about it. It's very, very frustrating. And
Lachey said this is why we fight for diversity in the writers' room production.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And but do they think that burning a Celtic cross
it's going to be better?
Any better?
I mean, I can see in their mind's eye, in the production mind's eye, saying this is going to go up and look more like a column, right? And less like the cross, KKK cross that we see, burning. And I think that I can see how they came to that conclusion, that it would not look the same and therefore have less of the visual impact. But they don't. Do they really even care about the visual impact? Because they lynched somebody last season.
Yeah.
And
it's like they almost don't want to have Jamie touched by anything that could be seen as bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
it doesn't make any sense. If and when we interview them for this season, it'll be the only thing I want to talk about because I'm desperate to know like how they didn't sit and adapt a book called The Fiery Cross and not make it specific, not be honest about where they were going and what was happening. That's very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
Purely Moose says, yes, sensitivity readers are a thing. And like, just have a diverse writer's room. Like, I don't understand why they can't. Nadine just said that point is made in the book, the slow burning and specifically not like the KKK crosses. They burn it and then douse it quickly and then just carry the charred cross around is what they say in the book. So they may do that, but it's still going to burn.
Yeah.
At some point, we're going to see
the image is still there.
And they have the conversations. It's not like they're not having, the characters are not having the conversations.
Yeah.
So
it's something they could easily adapt just directly from the book if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But definitely the production people should be talking about it. And it should be a part of, It shouldn't just be that Jamie's being called to war against the regulators or whatever, and he's caring about his family. Like if that's the whole story of the season, part of him calling to war is this horrible, horrific image that has bigger connotations in American history. They're talking about American history all the time. Talk about those bigger connotations as well. The fact that they want to gloss over them is really, really super frustrating. Okay. So let's talk about Wish on a Waterweed. Is there anything that you desperately want to see? I know Andy already talked about Roger singing, but anything that you desperately want to see directly from book to screen from this section?
Yes, and because I love Fergus, when he walks into the house in Brownsville with guns pointed at him, he says, "Be so kind to put that down, if you will. And perhaps, madam, you could pour some water upon this young woman or slap her briskly." And I just could see him doing that in his French accent and just kind of coming in, and because I just love Fergus.
Yeah.
And I love Caesar.
That. I love everything about that entire scene. Just how he's it's almost like he walks in after Roger, was that necessary?
Yeah.
Are you sure that that's what we need to do? But okay. we're all in the doorway with guns. We had it. You just must. It's really good. I want to see that too. Andy, do you have anything else?
Yeah. I want Claire to find Adso specifically in bed. Not just him come back and hand it to her outside the cabin. I want him to lose that damn cat and then find it in bed.
Yeah, that's really cute.
Kitten's in bed with Jamie and Claire. That's what I want.
Yeah, that's really cute. And it gives him the reason to get the posy, which I think I read somewhere that they're selling posies as part of the season swag.
Will they be poison ivy?
I don't know. But I think it would be really I don't know. I want to see him with a little, a little bouquet. I think that's really cute.
More Jamie with kittens and babies.
Yes, lots of babies. I desperately want to see, we all want to see the microscope scene, almost word for word. We haven't discussed it, but I love Jamie's incredulity. Like, I love it when he's just like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you talking about? Where did you get that? Like, when he's like, where'd you get sperm? Like, he's freaking out. Like, I love when when it doesn't quite connect. And then when it does, he's just like bashfully, like, cool with it. I love everything about that scene.
Yeah.
When he likes how like fierce they are.
Yeah.
Let them swim.
He's like, look at him. I did that. I love him. I love him when he's like that.
I love how he's so wants to learn that stuff.
Well,
like when she was wondering, do I just teach him the different types of immunity and, and he's clearly taking it in and listening. Like he respects her and what she's teaching him, he absorbs. And
yeah. Yes.
So maybe Roger needs to start show more interest in pipes and.
Well, I was just thinking when she's trying to teach him the gun and stuff, he's kind of like that. Like he's deferring to her and he's listening and all of that. And like, I actually thought that when she shot the turkey after he bumbled it, that he was going to be like butthurt about it because he'd been acting like in his head had been acting so distant and weird, but he didn't. He was like cool with it. So maybe I'll give Roger those points. He was listening and learning and he didn't throw a fit about the turkey. It's about the extent of it in this section. But yeah, that's what I want to see. Straight in the water weeds. Wish on a water weed.
Can I say this on the water? Really quick because I know we're running out of time. Because I did take a picture of it because it's in the section that we read. Shoot, and that's all beeswax and lye soap and stuff. Crap. Here it is. It was a modest frame house, whitewashed and shingle roofed, clean in its lines and soundly built, but only impressive by comparison with the crude cabins of more settlers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Modest house.
Modest
whitewashed. And like later when they're in Brownsville, which I'm not even going to tell you guys how long it took me to get the Browns from Brownsville.
Yeah.
The whole section. That's how long it took me to realize they were why it was called Brownsville the whole time.
So that's like I was like, today years old when I realized that Waystar Royco is for the Roy family.
Oh, I got that one. That one came to me pretty quick, but yeah, I didn't connect Brownsville and the Browns until the end, until they left. But there's this one point where they're talking about the stable, and it's basically just like they keep just like piling branches on like this big mound, and that's where they are. And I was like, I'm sure that stable's going to have like hinges and like perfect barn doors that slide across on pulleys and just ridiculousness. But production design.
Well, Gary steals out, so I don't think he doesn't give anything. He's like, I'm out.
Oh, really? He's out? Since when?
This is his last season, season 5.
Oh, but I knew he did this season. But
he did this season. He's not doing 6, no.
Okay. So, okay, I want to talk about any other like little bits that Diana said that like you couldn't handle.
She said alacrity again in this section.
I missed it. At one point when they're at the Beardsleys, that Claire's like walking through the yard and she sees a scatter of dung balls. No.
Oh my God.
Absolutely not. She can't just say she sees some animal dung or scat, which I think Brianna thinks of it as scat earlier in this section. That's fine. I don't have a problem with scat. A scatter of dung balls sounds like the worst thing I've ever heard in my whole life. And then she talks about
something you get at Applebee's.
Somebody like some of them are white, and I'm just like, nope, hate it. She uses the word pachyderm when she's discussing elephants later on, and then also makes it sound like she's referring to Jamie. It just pachyderm. I know what pachyderm is. Like I know that. I just hate it. I hate it. There's also
Nadine says, I want Hiram the goat. Me too, Nadine. I want that. And then she's like doing goat triage. She's fixing the broken leg of a poor little baby Hiram.
I don't care about Hiram the goat.
I don't either.
I do.
I just
Nadine,
read it.
we're gonna have our goat show.
I'm sure there are goats. I'm sure the white sow's in this. You get Adzo, the white sow, Clarence the mule. I'm sure you're going to get all the animals that you need. I don't care about any of them.
Jamie is bent over at one point, and Claire's checking out his ass, but then she also mentions how his scrotum is hanging. And I was like, thanks, Diana.
Yeah, that one was real fun. Something happens on page 283 that I hated, and I don't know what it was because I just wrote page 283 like I was going to remember what had bothered me. But I'm pretty sure it was... I had picked out the distinct stench of sickness amid the general fetor, not only the ghost of long dried vomit, but the sweet smell of purulent discharge and the indefinable musty yeast rising odor that seems to simply be the smell of illness itself.
I screenshot that too.
Get the fuck out of here with that, Diana. You can't just say it smells bad. I don't understand.
But indefinable yeast rising odor? That seems like you defined it pretty well. That's a yeast rising odor.
Yep,
there it is. You defined it.
Thank you very much. Okay, but the worst one in this whole section, guys.
Go ahead.
I'm going to see if it's actually on the page that I wrote it on. Yep, it is. So it's a cute scene. All right. A scene that we're all going to want to see, I think. Jamie takes the newborn changeling infant from Claire so that he can put a fresh linen on it because it soils itself. And he wipes it and he's like, oh, it's a wee lass. And you're like, oh, that's sweet. Like he's like, oh, it's a wee lassie. And then he says, rather plain, he said, critically surveying the little creature. A good thing she'll have a decent dowry. He just looked at her privates. And then he says, rather plain. That's not the time. That's not the time to say that Jamie notices that she's not cute. And she's a newborn. No newborns are cute. I've seen one cute newborn, my niece Callie. Every other newborn, funky. They're all ugly.
Yeah.
But looking at their genitals and then saying rather plain is the wrong time. But the thing that she wrote that is the worst thing I've ever heard, and I wanted to die. He is dealing with her stuff. She craps herself, and he shifts himself to a better shelter from the wind, lifted the coverings briefly, wiped a smear of blackish slime deftly off. And this is it right here, guys. The bud-like privates.
No. Diana, no.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You may not say that. That is the worst thing I have ever read. And I cannot. I cannot. Worst. It's worse than anything she's ever written.
Baby clitoris.
No!
No.
Edit that out. What time is it?
Sorry.
Yeah. It's awful. It's awful. It's the worst thing she's ever written. And I don't ever, I wish to never, ever see it again. But anyway.
I'm sorry I said it. I'm sorry.
Gosh, it's okay.
Now I'm thinking about it.
It's terrible. It's just a terrible descriptor. And I'm really upset that it's in. And I'm sad that we're ending it on friggin' that because we shouldn't have. But yeah.
Everybody in the chat's like, no.
Yeah, it's terrible, guys. It's terrible.
Sorry, guys.
When you're reading and you notice and you're taking notes on the things, like normally you just read it and you're like, ugh, and you dry heave and you move on. When you're writing it down to discuss it, you can't move on and it's the worst. But anyway, Wow, we went a little bit over tonight, guys.
Sorry,
but next week, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, which I have to actually remember because I thought it was 9 p.m. Eastern. Everybody thinks it's 9. It's not. It's 8. It's 8 now. But next week we're going to just do part 5. So be a little bit smaller. And hopefully some stuff happens. The Beardsleys are here. It's going to be a good time. So join us next week, part 5, not parts. And guys, the show will be here before you know it.
When is the show?
February 16th.
When I'm in Japan.
Oh, that's exciting.
I mean, it's exciting that I'll be in Japan,
Yeah.
but sad that I'm going to miss the premiere.
Oh wait, I might be in Japan that week.
Get
In
out of here!
Tokyo. I
I'll
swear
be in
to
Tokyo!
God.
Oh my!
Plan.
Oh my
Guys,
God,
I'll
we
be
have
here.
to meet.
Have
All
a
right, we'll
game
talk
event.
offline.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on Twitter and in the chat. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for keeping us on topic and interesting. We love you guys. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.